Oh, this will be fine, thanks. We'll be out of your way in a couple of minutes.
Get a tip, Mike?
Huh? Oh, got some change from the taxi here. Still like to know how that robber found a new long way in from the airport.
Well, I hope I'm not over-rehearsed. I wasn't even going to look at that speech in the plane. I'm shaved.
A couple of points needed sharpening, but it's a darn good speech. Wait till you catch it on the 7 o'clock news.
You mind telling me how you managed to get television to cover a routine luncheon speaker?
Oh, the luncheon's routine. The speaker's not.
How?
I have my ways and means. Just once over lightly, Congressman.
The paradox I'll never understand. The hush-hush of public relations. The top secrecy of publicity.
Well, let's just say we work a lot like strippers. We reveal a heck of a lot. It's what we conceal that's important. Brought you a clean shirt.
This is clean, thanks.
Should have brought you a tie, too. This one has to go.
I like this tie.
Well, your taste is impeccable, but the camera won't pick it up. It'll blend right in with the shirt.
Let it blend, Mike.
Here, take mine.
I don't want your tie.
It'll show up better.
Thanks, I don't want it.
Okay, but I know of a political candidate who washed out of an important TV showing wearing a gray suit. Now, him I didn't work for.
All right. If you're that worried about my public image.
Never use a word. Too many unpleasant connotations. Graven images included. Now, let's just say I'm concerned with your public presence.
Image is more succinct.
I don't know about those cufflinks either.
Forget it, they stay.
You look like you lit up. You look like you have batteries up your sleeve. Here, take mine.
What's yours? My nephew gave me these. He made them at camp out of 2 pennies he squashed in a railroad trap.
Oh, yeah? Can you mention that in your speech?
All right.
Listen, remember, when you face the camera, keep your head elevated. It firms the jawline.
Anything else?
Yes, don't talk with your hands. Don't talk too fast, but keep them moving. And if you can't find the right word, forget it. It's better to be glib than brilliant. And don't expect any applause. Half the people in the banquet room are Spanish and won't understand what you're talking about anyway. Now, listen, this is important. This is for television. Everything you say or do in public is important. Remember that. Smile, Congressman, smile.
The Negro and Puerto Rican members of our community have every right to feel that they're surrounded by enemies. The enemies I'm talking about are poverty, unemployment, discrimination, ignorance, illiteracy, and public apathy. The terrible truth is that we're learning to live with our city slums. This in the era of the moonshot, the space age. Now, tomorrow we shall reach for the stars. Surely today we can program our knowledge and our ability and our affluence to bring new life to the condemned members of our city slums. It is not the race for space that puts our system to its greatest test. It's the distribution of opportunity, the use and practice of democracy.
Now, that's what I call coverage.
Well, I'm surprised they use that much of it. What did you think, Neil?
Well, I thought the tie was nice.
I knew you shouldn't have told him about that.
Oh, I thought it was a pretty good speech. You're against poverty. How do you stand on train wrecks and forest fires?
What do you want?
I want a comprehensive plan of attack.
The whole speech was an attack on negligence, public apathy. Didn't you understand it?
Mike?
Well, what do we have to do to put a message across? Show an animated cartoon?
I don't know. You working on one?
Neil, what I'm trying to do is to get an increase of federal aid for this district. I need all the public support I can get. Now, down in Washington, they tell me we've had our fair share of the pie. Other areas need help, too.
Areas with 1 million people living in hell?
It's not easy to get an extra dime out of Washington for welfare.
Well, tell them Moscow's against it. See what they say.
Well, again, it's a question of public apathy. Why do you think the congressman's touring the luncheon circuit? Why do you think I've been trying to get all possible TV coverage? I've even lined up a date with David Susskind show.
What I need when I go into these things is something concrete, something that I can point to and say, these are the needs of my people in my district.
Some kind of a survey?
Nah, I can name you 5 surveys. They're no good, including the census.
Well, they're too broad, but I want to confine that to my district. I need the specifics.
House-to-house canvas is too big a job.
Too big. It'll take too long, and then we'd only be going over ground that's already been covered. No, we need something even more specific. One building. No, one family. Study in depth.
A single family.
A living biography of need.
Neil?
I like the way he sells it, but what are we buying?
Well, a study of a single family unit taken from our files. That would be up to you.
I want to screen your choices, of course.
You don't mind if I screen my own choices?
What kind of a staff would you need for that?
I'm an assistant.
Only one. You can have more if you want.
No, one's enough if it's the right one.
Well, I know a kid just out of Princeton, a lot of public relations savvy.
Well, I think the right person works for the CWS. I'll see if I can get her to do us a favor.
Are you looking for a typical family or what? Here's Garcia with 4 children.
That's Gonzalez with 12.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Undoubtedly. No, I'm not looking for the average American slum family, but if this study's going to mean anything at all, it's got to touch all the problems.
Isn't being poor a problem enough?
Not for some people. What was the name of that kid that kept playing hooky all the time?
Legion.
No, it was Felipe, I think. He had a kid brother named Luis. Felipe and Luis.
Well, what makes them of more interest in Garcia with her 4 or Gonzalez with her 12?
They dropped out of school to look for work. Look under Valdez.
Valdez. Valdez Miguel?
That's our family.
Thank you.
Milk and sugar?
No, thanks.
Miguel likes it the same way. Not the boys. They like it too sweet. For them, everything has to be sweet.
How's everything going now that they're working steady?
Oh, we got a TV set.
Very nice.
$5 a week. And Felipe ordered a refrigerator. I don't know how much a week.
Well, sounds like everything's going pretty well, then.
Miguel thinks so. Felipe and Luis think so.
You don't.
I would send back that TV set and keep the milk on the windowsill if Felipe and Luis would go back to school.
How old is Felipe now? 16?
17. Luis is 16. He does everything his brother does. He had to quit school, like his brother.
Where do they work?
Downtown. Downtown. They push dresses in carts.
In the garment district. Huh?
That's right. They don't go to school. No more, Luis said. No more. We got a TV set.
Your husband still work at the box factory?
Sure. He likes the place. They pay him pretty good now, and he hasn't been laid off for a long time. They all go to work on the same subway. Miguel likes that. Or does he care about school? He didn't go. What's the difference? He still got a job. But, you know something, Mr. Brock? It scares me. My boys don't go to school no more, and it scares me to death.
Jane Foster. I work with Neil Brock in Congressman Hanson's office.
Brock? Yeah, I know Brock. So, what do you want?
Well, we're doing a study for Congressman Hanson, and you can help us quite a bit if you just answer a few questions.
Like what?
Like, why you quit school, how you found your job, what do you do when you leave school?
Oh, you mean at night? Oh, I can tell you that. Por la noche yo salgo con todas las muchachas bonitas y dulces porque yo soy un Don Juan.
No te pases conmigo. Hotel Sari a tu mamá.
Hey, man, you speak Spanish.
Like a native. Like a native New Yorker, that is. Do you have time to answer a few questions now?
All the time in the world, as long as they don't catch me goofing off. Well, what do you want to know? Ask me anything, man. I know all the answers.
Well, don't you agree there's a real note of optimism here?
Well, they still live in the slums.
Yeah, but they have a chance of getting out.
50 years ago, they'd had a much better chance.
50 years ago.
In those days, in a sense, the slums were just a stopover for immigrants. The condition of poverty wasn't exactly permanent. I mean, people worked hard and got out. If they didn't get out, the children got out. Became doctors and lawyers and songwriters. Today, the slums are a dead end.
Not for everybody. And the congressman has brought improvements to the district. You can't deny that.
Oh, yeah. The recreation program and the nutrition council. He knows how to keep the local bosses in line. They think he's going somewhere, but they're not quite sure how far.
He's going far, Brock. People look up to a man like Hanson. He's an inspiration to everybody.
Yeah. He was born rich, and he managed to hang on to it. There's a message in that probe, isn't it?
The proof is right here in this study of the Valdez family.
Proof of what?
That under his leadership, the slum dwellers are taking to self-improvement. They're lifting themselves up with their own bootstraps.
What about those that don't have any bootstraps? What do they hold on to? You read any of this? You should read these interviews with teachers. One of them says, no, I don't want to work in a slum school. I want a place that's got a decent cafeteria and a clean toilet. Another woman in here says, I want clean children. Children that don't come at me with a knife. Children I can reach. Can't reach these kids. They drop out like paratroopers. How far can you go without an education? On that happy, optimistic note, I'll get back to work.
If you have another copy of this, I'd like to take it with me.
Yeah, sure. Take it along.
Fascinating stuff. Just what we're looking for. Yeah, I can do a lot with this. That's fine. Now I'd like to get a shot of Mrs. Valdez over by the TV set. Oh, wait a minute. Let's right here by the new refrigerator. You can be holding the door open as if you're trying to think of what to have for dinner, okay?
Okay.
Let's try it. Just hold the door open and kind of peek in there to see the goodies.
All right.
Can you see inside the meat and stuff?
Could you move Mrs. Valdez a couple of inches to your right? All right. Hold it.
Mr. Valdez, a few more questions?
Sure, anything.
How do you feel about the future?
Oh, fine, just fine.
Things have been going much better for you these days, haven't they?
Just fine. I got a good job, and both my boys, Felipe and Luis, they are both working. You can't beat that. Look at all these new things we got here now.
Mrs. Valdez, could you stand in just a little closer?
What? Oh, yes.
The cheek to your left. Hold it.
How do your boys feel about the way the world's treating you?
Great, man.
Like, just great. You like, working better than going to school?
Man, you know it. Look, that school stuff, man, that's for squares who can't make it. Look, I never had a suit like this when I was going to school. I didn't have nothing.
All right, that's got it. Thank you very much.
Hey, where's the nearest crisis? Middle, near, or far east?
Have you seen this?
No, I couldn't get one on the subway. What is it? What is this?
Well, don't you recognize our so-called study in depth?
What, the soap opera? There isn't a straight fact in here.
Well, anyway, it was fun working with you again, Nick. The next time you pass by CWS, stop in. I'll be there.
No, you won't. You'll be right here working with me.
Sorry, I only research non-fiction.
What do you want to do, start a fight out here in the street? Come on.
I don't like politics.
I don't want you to run for office. I want you to put the coffee on while I hand Miller his head.
It isn't a question of throwing it away. I used the survey.
You used it all right to get free publicity for Hanson.
He had nothing to do with it. I assume full responsibility. He flew to Washington last night. As far as I know, he hasn't even seen it. Brock, in the final analysis, all public relations can do is bring the material to the attention of an interested public.
What material? You make living in the slums sound like good, clean fun. You make the Valdez family look like sweepstakes winners.
This was never intended to be the whole story. It's what my theatrical press agent friends would call a grabber. The papers have had it with rats and slumlords. This is a new slant, an upbeat situation. We'll follow it up later with dramatic exceptions to make our point.
This upbeat situation exists only in this newspaper. Didn't you read the study? Mrs. Valdez is afraid to get up in the morning. She's afraid of what happened to her family.
Well, that I don't get at all. They're doing very well boosting themselves up. Even the kids have jobs.
The kids are dropouts.
Well, not everybody can go to college, Brock.
They dropped out of high school, not Princeton.
I'll admit I didn't go into it too deeply.
Sure, you were too interested in the refrigerator. What a comfort it'll be that when the finance company comes and takes it away, they'll still have your picture of it.
You're the most cynical humanitarian I've ever met.
Listen to me, you're not interested in the Valdez family, or in the study, or even in an increase in federal aid. Your sole concern is polishing the Hanson public image.
My job is to show the congressman in the best possible light. If I can do that and perform a public service at the same time, swell, I'm all for it. But the congressman comes first, always.
I can understand it. I don't have to like it, but I can understand it.
I'm going to let you in on something, Brock. The party has plans for the congressman. Now, you know what he stands for. But how much can a member of the House of Representatives accomplish on his own, and how much more can he accomplish in a higher office? Now, that's something to think about.
I'll think about it.
Which one of these should I wear?
The striper. Throw the others back. Listen, are you sure you won't change your mind on this speech to the Spanish-American Society?
No undue optimism, Mike. I intend to use Neil's study as it was meant to be used. And, that's a rap on the knuckles, friend.
Ouch.
Listen, Neil had every right to be sore. And from now on, I want you to check all releases with me. If I'm going to make any public statements, I want to be the first to know about it.
Right.
And you better get used to the idea that he's important to this organization. You might even say he's my conscience.
In politics, you can't always let your conscience be your guide.
I hope that's a joke, Mike. Look, I don't like this antagonism that seems to be building up between the two of you. After all, you're not in competition, you know. I depend on Neil in his area just as much as I depend on you in yours. The two areas come together. I don't want a collision. I want cooperation. You've got to take him into your confidence, respect his opinions, get to know him.
I know him well enough. I must say he's improved somewhat since you persuaded him to button his collar. As a matter of fact, now that you mention it, there's a lot of color there. That fierce dedication, etc.
I wasn't suggesting him as a topic for a press release.
Well, why not? Why not even carry it further? As you say, he is important to the organization, and it's still somewhat unique for a congressman to have a social worker on his staff. Why don't we emphasize his role?
What do you mean, build his public image?
Public presence. Why not?
Well, for one thing, you're going to have to sell Neil on the idea.
Well, what do you think of it?
Well, I think it's fine. I don't mind being surrounded by fierce dedication, but can you sell him on the idea?
Again, why not?
I don't know. Why not?
Oz, I don't have time to waste in publicity gimmicks. No, I'm not going to talk to any newspaper.
Bill Donaldson has carried in over 500 papers.
So is little orphan Annie. I don't want to talk to her either.
Oh, Donaldson writes a behind-the-scenes political column. He carries a lot of weight in Washington. Talk to him, Brock.
You talk to him. I got somebody to see.
This is important.
So is this. I'll see you later.
She went to church or something.
She left a call in my office for me to call her. You know why?
No, man.
You mind turning that thing down a little?
This is the way I like it, man.
Hey. This is the way I like it, man. What are you doing home in the middle of the afternoon? You get a half day off?
I didn't go in today
Why not?
because I didn't feel like it.
What's the matter? You sick?
Yeah, I feel sick. Sick of that job, pushing those little wagons around all day. That's for squares.
What happened? You get canned?
I would have quit anyway, man. Who needs it?
They give you a reason?
Oh, yes, they gave me a reason. Goodbye, punk. We don't need you anymore, and season's over until next year.
What about your brother? Luis get fired too?
No, but he'll quit when he finds out about me.
Well, that's fine. They'll give you somebody to bum around with in the afternoons. A lot of afternoons.
Listen, is it my fault I was canned, huh? I was up early this morning looking for work, and you know what I seen? Other guys looking for work. And some guys who ain't looking no more because they know it ain't there.
You know how you got into this mess? Because I'm a Puerto Rican. No, because you're a dumb Puerto Rican. Because you quit school before you learned anything. All you know is to push and to lift. What's going to happen to your precious TV set? What's going to happen to this? You didn't even work long enough to collect unemployment insurance then. Tell Luis not to quit. He'll listen to you. Tell him to keep working until they let him go. Will you do that?
I don't know.
Meantime, I'll try to keep my eye open for a job for you.
Are you going to find me a job?
Well, I'm going to try. I don't guarantee anything. At least there'll be two of us looking. If you'll get up and get out there bright and early, okay?
It's a deal.
Well, let me put it this way. Neil Brock is Dr. Schweitzer if Schweitzer had a mean streak. I hope you realize that's off the record.
You're not buying my lunch and telling me things I can't print, are you?
You know me better than that. No, there's a story here. Neil Brock is one of a kind.
Oh, no?
No, not the run-of-the-mill dime a dozen one of a kind. I mean, he's in a class by himself, something special.
Where do you keep him, in the cage? Why can't I meet him?
Well, I'll level with you, Bill. He's publicity shy. But the congressman and I feel he deserves a heck of a lot of credit. The man practically lives in the slums. How he does it, I'll never know.
You know why?
Yes, I do. He wants to lend a helping hand. Literally, he said to me once, Mike, when the people stop caring, the rats take over. Now, what kind of a man says a thing like that?
Politician.
Well, in spite of the fact that he's works for a congressman, he's apolitical. He's entirely altruistic. All he wants to do is to give the poor, forgotten people of this district a break. Is it any wonder the congressman calls Neil Brock his conscience? Point to one quote there and tell me you didn't say it.
I say a lot of stupid things I don't want to see printed in the paper.
No one likes to be quoted out of context, Mike.
I don't like to be quoted at all, particularly without my knowledge or consent.
You did consent.
Like hell I did.
I asked you to talk to Bill Donaldson, and you told me to talk to him.
Yeah, about the filthy slums, the lousy schools, 1,000 dropouts, not about me.
Well, I don't know why you're taking it so hard. I thought Donaldson did a good job on
You
you.
did a great job. Just lay off me, Miller. Just stay away from me.
Well, Neil, I'm going to have to take some of the blame for this.
Take all the blame you want to take, only keep your boy out of my hair.
Yes? Neil? For you.
I'll take it in here, in case I want to say something that's not for publication.
Well, I don't deserve that.
Hello, Rose. Put this on line 4, please.
I'm just a little fed up with God's angry man.
Maybe I'll get a chance to talk to him before I go back to Washington.
Want me to go with you?
No, thanks, Mike. Not this trip. I'll be spending all my time pushing for the allocation increase. If I'm lucky, I may be able to swing Senator Leverett over to my side.
That was very good. He's in strong with the administration.
Well, he hasn't committed himself yet, but he invited me over for dinner Thursday. That's a good sign.
Thursday? Have you forgotten about the Susskind show?
What, on Thursday?
Yes, they tape it for Sunday night.
I'm sorry. I'll have to call David and see if I can get a rain check. It went right out of my head.
When did all this happen?
Luis got fired yesterday. He went out with Felipe and they didn't come home all night. This morning the police came.
Happened like that, huh? That? I was just going to come over there today, too.
You have a job for him?
No, I don't have anything for him. Look, you get the lawyer, like I said, and I'm sure he'll do everything he can for the boys. It's a first offense.
Why do we fight being poor? We always got to lose. Goodbye, Mr. Brock. Thank you for the lawyer's name.
I don't mean to bother you, Mr. Brock, but I'm returning the Valdez study.
What?
The report on the Valdez family.
Wait a minute. There's been a new development on the wrap-up. Felipe and Luis Valdez just got picked up in a stolen car.
No kidding.
Does that surprise you? Beginning of a new career for them.
I'm really sorry to hear it.
Well, it's a great break for you. Why don't you send one of your photographers down and get a picture of them in their cell at the Tombs? Better still, you can have your pal Bill Donaldson interview him. Make sure he mentions how much I helped him out when they needed it most.
Mike? I just talked to David Suskind. Now, he's in a tough spot. His usual emergency standby people aren't available this week.
Oh, great. What's he going to do about it?
Well, I told him we'd find somebody to fill in for me. He wants to go in the slum situation. I thought maybe Corrigan, the district leader.
He just had all his teeth pulled.
Huh. What about Wardlow?
What about me?
You?
You want to do it, Neil?
If I can say what I believe.
Oh, no, that's odd. Well, put you on the air? No. We need a pro, someone who can handle himself in fast company.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Let's talk about Wardlow. He's a good man.
I've had enough words put in my mouth. Let me use some of my own.
Do you think we're out of our skulls? With all that sarcasm inside you, you're liable to say anything. No, we need a strong party man in the spot.
Right. Now, let's talk about Wardlow, huh?
Talk about me.
Why don't you give up? You're out of this.
What do you want? Somebody to talk around the issues? Double talk? Or you want somebody to talk straight out? It's up to you, Charles.
All right, Neil, you're on.
Oh, you got to be kidding. Oh, no. No.
Mike will take care of the details. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I have a plane to catch.
Can't do it. You can't trust him to say the right thing. Tell him you've changed your mind. Or tell him Suskind won't buy it.
Suskind already bought it, Mike.
What?
Look, I wanted Neil on the program from the beginning. I asked that he be used on the show.
But in there,
I was playing it by ear. Play very well that way. Look, I'm satisfied he'll do a good job for us.
You walk in there and he'll open his mouth and destroy you.
How? He can't hurt me. Short of calling me a communist, anything he wants to say in that program is okay with me, Mike.
What if he says something you have to explain later?
Well, I'll simply explain that I believe that members of my staff have a right to their own opinion.
What if he stirs up some sort of a controversy?
Good. I like controversy. Look, Mike, you still don't understand something. I hired Neil Brock for all the reasons that scare you. He speaks his mind. He's his own man. He does his own thinking. I find that very admirable. I like to be surrounded by that kind of freedom. I can't see any reason to worry about what he may or may not say in a television program. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to it. Smile, Mr. Public Relations Man. Smile.
All right, stand by. Ready to cue David?
I have to.
Cue David and come up.
Good evening and welcome to Open Discussion. My name is David Suskind. Tonight our subject is New York City. Super city or a wide shot? Our guests are all interesting and informed people. They all live in New York City and they all know it well. And it's with great pleasure that I present them to you now. Our first guest is movie star Shirley Frost. She's famous for playing the bad girl with the heart of gold. She's twice been nominated for an Academy Award, and she cares passionately about civic affairs. Our next guest is the renowned author, lecturer, Roger Hamilton Bradford. His forthcoming book is The Coming Victory of Conservatism. Our next guest is comedian Mel Chance. I think you've all enjoyed for many years his comedy, his satirical, biting comedy on city life. His newest album is The Mad World of Mel Chance.
Close up on the social worker.
Our final guest is social worker Neil Brock. He is on the staff of Congressman Charles Hanson. A recent column by Bill Donaldson has dubbed him the Congressman's Conscience. You know, and now let's join the hard part. It's lonely. You're all by yourself. This is the part I really like. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and taking time out from your busy lives. Let's get started on New York and slums. I'd like your observations on this. In the current plethora of talk about the future of New York, which might be the future of all the great cities in this country, there are differing theories. One theory has it that New York is becoming a master metropolis, just golden with promise. And the other theory says that it's going to be one vast, crime-ridden slum moving like a dirty glacier, sweeping everything in its path. Now, obviously, the truth lies somewhere between these extremes. And I wonder, Shirley, what you think of these dichotomous prognostications. These opposite theories, Shirley.
Well, let's face it, David. I mean, New York has always had slums, always been dirty, and it's always been great. I love it. And what else can I say?
Mr. Brock, before we went on the air...
100 years from now, it'll still be great. Even greater.
That's true, Shirley. Mr. Brock, before we went on the air, you were saying that you were very concerned about school dropout. I think you said that there were about 70,000 unemployed young men in their teens and early 20s in this city.
That was the city's figure for 1963, I think.
Now, did these young men drop out of school to take jobs or for what other reason?
Well, the problem with the whole thing seems to be that there just aren't enough jobs to go around for people who are uneducated, unskilled. I mean, you take a 16-year-old boy, if he drops out of school and he isn't able to find a steady job by the time he's 20, the chances are he'll never have a steady job for the rest of his life, and his children will be much better off.
Oh, I can't quite swallow this fantastic notion of a self-generating slum with dropouts begetting dropouts. No, in a relatively short time, Mr. Brock, there won't be any slums. They'll be wiped out by technology.
Is that the same technology that gave the world a better bomb when all it wanted was a better mousetrap?
Yeah, but
Why do you
what about
liberals
polio
hate the
vaccine?
bomb so much?
I mean,
No,
that's
wait,
an American
please, without it.
Please.
Let's stick to the main issue, please. Mr. Brock, do you see technology as one answer to the slums?
Well, I can't speculate on the future. I do believe that automation contributes to the slums and is part of the reason for slums. Now, I mean, it's the people on the bottom who are the first to go always. And where do they go to?
Now, you see, you're still crying doom. Today is no good, and so we can't conceivably have a better tomorrow.
How can conservatives believe in tomorrow when all they want to do is turn the clock back to 1898?
And the liberals want to stop it in 1933.
Stop it in 1933.
But will tomorrow, gentlemen, ladies, will tomorrow really be any better? Now, our slum population in this city is already over 1 million people, and it's growing at an alarming rate. What about that?
Well, it's up to the people to get themselves out of the slums. I mean, look at me. I was born poor, grew up poor. I got out of it.
How, Shirley? How'd you get out?
I won a beauty contest.
You won a beauty contest. Shirley, how do you really feel about your background? I mean, has it been a hindrance in your career? Are you ashamed of it?
Not at all. If anything, I'm proud of it. I go back to the old neighborhood every chance I get. I love the atmosphere. Love the people.
And the mother still lives there.
My mother's in Florida.
Mel, now you do 20 hilarious minutes in your act, devoted to your horrible Brooklyn childhood. How horrible was it really?
David, would I lie to my analyst?
Probably.
I'll be honest with you. I hated it. I mean, to this day, I get sick just thinking about the way we had to live, the food we ate, the overall unpleasantness. You know something? We weren't even poor.
Mr. Bradford, will you give me a straight answer to a straight question?
Well, that's the only kind of answer I know how to give.
Well, you come from a very good family, and you were very well educated in good schools. Have you ever had any personal contact with slums and slum dwellers?
Well, yes,
Listen,
of course.
David, it's like I said before. There have always been poor people.
Sure. We didn't have poor people. How would the rich people know they were rich?
Now, that is precisely how the bleeding voice of the left wing has weakened our dominant position in world leadership.
We've got to have a little bit of order. I want to read to you an excerpt from a report on the President's Council of Economic Advisors and get your comment on it.
And one, get me, David.
Quotation.
One.
The nation's attack on poverty must be based on a change in national attitude. We must open our eyes and minds to the poverty in our midst.
Get me the social worker. 3.
Poverty is not the inevitable fate of any man. The condition can be eradicated, and since it can, it must be.
Amen.
But it cannot be accomplished solely by governmental interference.
Interference with what, poverty?
Well, you of all people should be an authority on this subject, Mr. Brock. Your boss, Representative Charles Hanson, well, he's a spearhead of the movement. Is that not a fact?
What movement? I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about the policy of overtaxing private industry to pamper useless paupers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled paupers. He even talks like the 19th century.
Now, why should a majority of hard-working Americans have to support a worthless minority?
Listen, talking about overtaxing private industry, you should see the bundle they clipped me for.
If you want to
But
talk
don't you
about
see
taxes, you know, and
welfare,
what taxes?
welfare generates.
We have to some degree of it. We've got to.
You ever edit the tape before it goes on the air?
Not unless somebody says a dirty word. 3, stay out of Shirley's neckline. And 1,
Yes. May we hold it just a moment? I think it's important. Mr. Brock, a very serious charge of pauper pampering has been leveled against Congressman Hanson. Would you care to reply to that?
Yes, by all means. Defend the indefensible.
Well, I don't think that Representative Hanson needs any defense from me.
Yeah, but what do you
Well,
mean by pampering? I mean, if it means carrying them on the welfare books for the rest of their life, but if they're hungry, well, they got to be fed.
You still haven't answered
Let
the
me
charge,
finish.
and I would like
Let
an
me
answer,
finish.
Mr. Brock.
Shut up!
Let her finish.
Well, weren't you taught any
Please,
manners
Shirley,
out in
please.
Hollywood, Miss Frost, or were you too busy learning other things?
Well, I learned about men like you. What'd you do, leave your armband on your other suit?
See, that's one of the first rules of survival. Never attack a vicious broad.
Gentle guess, we are again quite off the subject.
Well, since Mr. Brock does not choose to reply, I would like to ask him another question. Mr. Brock, did you have anything to do with a so-called study in depth of a certain family named Valdez?
Yes, I originated the study. I researched it, yes.
Well, then, how do you explain the glaring contradictions between your attitude here and the content of a newspaper article that was written on the basis of that study? Now, the newspaper gave the impression that all was coming up roses with the poor people who voted for Congressman Hanson.
Well, obviously, there was a false impression.
Well, then you admit that it was nothing but blatant political propaganda.
No, the study was valid. The errors were in the story.
And true.
Did the congressman not sanction the lie? Or did he do anything?
Stay on Brock. Stay on Brock.
I believe he did. I believe he did a day or two later in a speech before the Spanish-American Society.
Well, I didn't see anything about it in any of the newspapers or hear it on any of the news programs.
Well, I don't think the newspapers carried it, and I don't think it was on television either.
Well, then, why didn't you set the record straight when you were interviewed by Bill Donaldson?
I was not interviewed by Mr. Donaldson personally.
Oh,
Donaldson was too busy thinking up adjectives to describe his own saintliness. That's his frame of reference. He has an in with heaven.
I never met the man.
well, possibly he confused you with the congressman, the chaste young aristocrat, unsullied by the corrupting influence of wealth, and whose only interest lies in doing things for others less fortunate than himself. That is the image, isn't it?
Gentlemen, please, I don't see any useful purpose served by this colloquy. Can we please return to the main issue?
Well, first, I would like a response from Mr. Brock.
I don't know anything about images. Ask the man who owns one.
Well, you certainly play an important part in the image that's being created for Congressman Hanson. Now, you did arrive at the studio tonight with his public relations advisor, Mike Miller, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I did.
And you don't know anything about image?
Well, you're going to have to cut this anyway. Why don't you stop the tape?
I couldn't if I wanted to. Number 1, stay with the social worker. And what?
I don't know what you mean by image. I know what I mean by image. I think it's a prettied up picture with the warts painted out. Now, I don't know whether Representative Hanson has any warts or not, but if he does, I'm certainly not going to talk about him on this program. But I reject the idea that he has to be sold by half-truth. I think that's bad enough, that philosophy, in the marketplace. In politics, it's intolerable because it blinds our vision and makes it impossible for us to exercise our free choice. If I am part of a slick, wartless image, I reject it and I repudiate it.
Give me a wide shot. And 1.
Brock, I think that's a courageous and frank statement.
Give me the social worker. 3.
Thank you, sister. While we're on, let me ask you.
Stop the tape. I'll take full responsibility. Stop it right now.
Do it.
Yeah, well, you wish you had.
Discussion on the Slums. Why did you invite us?
How do you get an outside line?
Miss Frost has romanticized her tenement background so much that it's beyond all recognition. Mr. Chance is lots of laughs and a great deal of fun, but he doesn't have much to say on the subject. Mr. Bradford thinks people are poor because they like it that way. If you wanted a real discussion, why didn't you ask the expert?
Now, I take exception to that remark.
Wait a minute, just because you live in a situation like that doesn't mean
Mr. Brock
that
has asked
you
me
work
the
that yourself,
question.
you know.
Can I answer Mr. Brock's question? You are the expert, and you were invited.
No, sir. You take a 2-year-old kid that has to stare at a rat in the dark. That's an expert. You take a 12-year-old kid who gets a free fix and gets started on the habit. That's an expert. You take Mrs. Valdez, the woman in this newspaper piece, who has to stand by helplessly and watch her children drop out of school and drop into jail. That's an expert. You ought to have that lady on your program with a panel of congressmen and let her ask them a few questions like, what are you doing about improving our schools? And what are you doing about teaching my children how to live in this world? Then you'd have yourself a program you'd be proud of.
Would Congressman Hanson join the panel of such a program?
I don't see why not. She voted for him. I think he'd be very happy to appear with her. Yes.
I thank you. You know, Mr. Brock, you've given me an idea for next Sunday's show. I'm in your debt.
Get to the congressman and tell him if he has to walk out on the senator, walk out, but fly back here as fast as possible. Brock is killing him.
Live film 1. Get me a wide shot of the group.
Howling ambiguous.
Don't strong arm me. I don't care how
On this note of sweet harmony, we pause for a message from our
I
sponsor.
voted for Adlai Stevenson both times.
Roll film.
I want a transcript of this show delivered to the congressman's office first thing in the morning.
You'll get it. Stand by. 50 seconds.
Nice going, Brock.
How do you like it? I'm going to stick around. I got a lot more to say.
Well, go ahead. Say anything you want. It doesn't make any difference. I just called Washington. This tape will never get on the air.
All right, then there's something I want to tell you.
I'm not giving you a choice, Brock. I'm outlining a course. If you don't like it...
I don't like it. And I don't think Hanson's going to stand by and let you call the shots. No matter how I shot my mouth off in that program, it's no use to cancel it. That's censorship, and you know it.
Mike, come in, please. You too, Neil. I've read the transcript. I have David Susskind waiting on the telephone. Hello, David? Well, I'm a little tired. I got in a little late last night. The answer was waiting for me on my desk this morning. Thank you very much. Well, I just finished reading it. There are several things I don't quite agree with, but, well, I think it's going to be a very exciting program. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yes. Just a minute, I'll ask him. Anything you want to say to David Susskind? No, I guess not, David. All right, good. Thank you.
Well, that was the biggest mistake you ever made.
Oh, I don't think so.
I just got you off the hook. You could have walked away from this without...
Building point is almost as low as yours.
Gave me a bad minute there, Mr. Representative. Now, what about my idea that I suggested to Susskind about Mrs. Valdez and the congressman for next week's show? I thought maybe you'd be able to suggest the people who could be on.
Well, I've already drawn up a list. As a matter of fact, I called some of them to check on their plans for next week. State Senator Chico will be out of town until after the taping. Representative Groverson will be in the hospital for his annual checkup.
That's the fourth one this year, isn't it?
The Honorable Benjamin Shorter is going fishing.
Come on.
Senator Leverett, he doesn't have an excuse yet, but he's going to think of one. What about me, Neil? What kind of excuse shall I use?
Well, you could say that you're afraid to go on television with that woman.
Mrs. Valdez has every reason to be bitter. And I have every reason to avoid that bitterness in public. Now, your suggestion for a confrontation on television was a little casual. It's off the top of your head. If you stop to think about it, you'd realize it's out of the question. You can't upset the balance like that. You cannot, for instance, expect a liberal senator from a conservative state to make a public accounting. You can't ask an enlightened Southern congressman to face a pro-segregation voter on television.
Well, if you felt that way about it, why didn't you cancel the tape?
Because I am not a censor. I wanted you on that program. You were fine up to a certain point. You reached that point when you made a commitment for me. Now, I will get out of that because I have to. I'll rely upon Mike to think of something to save me the embarrassment. I will not be forced into an impossible situation. I'm responsible to too many people.
Pudding has 2 T's.
Typewriter can't spell.
You letting Miller push you out, huh? Well, maybe you're right. The job isn't worth fighting for. Walk away and let him win by default. After all, Mike is the congressman's right hand. What does he need with a conscience when he has a strong right hand?
Beautiful. I hope Miller feels the same way about it.
Of course he will.
Well, as much as I'd like to, I can't accept your resignation.
I'm not resigning.
Well, then what's this?
It's what they call a grabber. First you get their attention, then you hit them over the head, right? Or is it the other way around? Come in.
I have an appointment.
Sit down. Like drinking water? Piece of fruit?
What are you up to?
Oh, I'm doing you a favor. Oh, no, please. Don't thank me. Someday you may be able to even the score.
What is it?
What? I'm not resigning.
That's a favor?
Certainly. Listen, if I walked out of here now, you'd be in the worst shape you've ever been in your life. I am a public figure, thanks to you. Neil Brock, image of an image. It all started with that interview with Donaldson. And then the television show kind of picked it up. And by the time that tape goes on Sunday, even my barber is going to be calling me the congressman's conscience. You know something? Wouldn't look very good for the congressman's conscience to take a powder, would it? No, sir. As the monster said to Dr. Frankenstein, you made me what I am today, baby. And you're stuck with a mess.
Well, that works both ways. If I'm stuck, you're stuck with me as long as you stay. I'm not going to put up with any interference, Brock. You can ridicule it all you like. Public relations is a fact of life.
No. It's a way of life. You don't like yourself? Get yourself a public relations man. He'll give you a new image. What would you like to be? You want to be an egghead? He'll get you an honorary degree. You want to be an author? He'll get you a ghostwriter. You want to be taller? He'll surround you with midgets. You got a drinking problem? He'll tell the press it's chronic indigestion. You got a sex problem? Hand him the telephone. Why, if you stutter, he'll do your talking for you. If you like, he'll do your thinking for you. Nobody should be without one. Having a press relations man is like having a fairy godfather.
The public invented public relations. You see, they want to believe the best about their leaders. They want to know about the First Lady's clothes, about the Vice President's stamp collection, about the Senator's puppy dogs. They know these people are human, subject to human miseries. They don't have to be told that. But when they see them in person or on the TV screen, they want to see them with their hair combed in nice clothes, wearing big smiles.
Even if the hair is false and the clothes are padded and the smile is phony.
What if it is? What difference does that make? Who has to know that? Haven't you ever smiled when you didn't feel like it? Haven't you ever had to wear a mask?
Yeah. But what happens when everybody in politics hide behind a mask? The most popular mask gets elected.
Well, then it's up to the public relations man to see that the best candidate gets the most popular mask.
Yeah, if he's lucky enough to be working for the best candidate.
Well, I am. I believe in Charles Hanson. And I'm going to do my damnedest to see that other people believe in him if I have to use every trick in the book.
Looks like you and I are on the same side, whether we like it or not.
Well, Brock, I'm going to do everything I can to get you out of here.
Fine. Let me be the first to wish you luck.